Today we get to talk about one of my favorite Coyotes players growing up that never really did much at the NHL level, and that player is Fredrik Sjostrom. You have no idea how excited I was to find this jersey for a decent price with the Decade in the Desert with the Sjostrom. Who cares about the autograph? But come on, man, it's Fredrik Sjostrom. Fredrik Sjostrom was drafted 11th overall in the 2001 NHL entry draft by the Phoenix Coyotes, which at the time was tied for the highest they had ever selected, the first time being their first year in the league, the 1996 draft, in which they selected Dan Vogt. I can see we're already starting off strong here. But that 11th overall selection did not originally belong to the Phoenix Coyotes. They acquired it via a trade with the Carolina Hurricanes, where Phoenix traded the 14th overall selection, which turned into Chuck Kobasu, along with the 41st overall selection in exchange for the 11th overall. Skip ahead a couple of years and Sjostrom would make his NHL debut in a game at the Boston Bruins on November 30th, 2003. A couple of weeks later, in a game against Edmonton on December 12th, 2003, he would record his first NHL goal. Overall, throughout Sjostrom's rookie year, 2003-2004, he would play in 57 games, scoring 7 goals and 6 assists for 13 points. Not exactly the numbers you'd expect out of the 11th overall selection, but you know what? Beggars can't be choosers. As we all know, the next season, the 04-05 season, would be completely wiped out due to a lockout, but Sjostrom wouldn't let that hold him back from playing hockey. He, alongside about 14 other Phoenix Coyotes players, would play that year with the Utah Grizzlies in the ECHL. A couple of the notable players to play with him: Keith Ballard, David Lemieux, Matthew Spiller, David Spina, Jeff Tafe, and former 90s-era Phoenix Roadrunner Jamie Storr. Bet you weren't expecting that. Anyway, Sjostrom played in 80 games, scoring 14 goals and 24 assists for 38 points. Pretty big step up in production, though it is down a couple of leagues, but hey, at the very least, he was working on his game, scoring more goals, and taking those steps forward, hopefully for a successful NHL career. Heading into NHL 06, Fredrik Sjostrom would play his 100th career NHL game in January 24th at Minnesota to be exact. The 05-06 season would be a step up in terms of overall point totals, but his goal numbers, they went down slightly. Only by 1, but still, it's going the wrong direction. 75 games played, 6 goals and 17 assists for 23 points, 11 more assists, about 10 more points, 1 fewer goal. You know what? It's an improvement. Fredrik Sjostrom is showing those steps forward. And on July 13th, 2006, the Phoenix Coyotes decided to reward him because they would sign him to a 2-year, $1.5 million contract. So, that didn't work out at all. 06-07, 78 games played. The goals did go up. 9 goals, 9 assists for 18 points. Then the expiring year on the contract, 2007-2008, 51 games, 10 goals, 9 assists for 19 points. So technically, goals and points went up by 1 each, but they were going up. Evidently, the Coyotes would figure that the value on Sjostrom just wasn't going to get any higher, and on February 26th, 2008, they made the following trade. The Coyotes sent forward Josh Gratton, goaltender David Lemieux, forward Fredrik Sjostrom, and a 2009 fifth-round pick in exchange for goaltender Al Montoya and forward Marcel Hossa. You remember Marcel Hossa, right? Brother to legendary Coyote Marian Hossa? I figured you didn't remember him. 07-08, he played in 14 games, no points, and that was it for his Coyotes career. Al Montoya, on the other hand, 08-09, he posted a 4-3-1 record, 208 goals against, a .925 save percentage, and was then traded to the Islanders for a 6th-round draft pick. So at the very least, they got some value out of that. To finish off the 07-08 season, Sjostrom would score 2 goals in 18 games, the first of those coming on March 2nd, 2008. In the playoffs, he would play in 10 games and record 1 assist. Let's go ahead and just skip ahead to the next year. 08-09, in 79 games played, Sjostrom would score 7 goals and 6 assists for 13 points. If you've been paying attention up until now, those are the exact same numbers he put up in his rookie season, but in about 23 or so more games. In the playoffs, in 7 games, he would record just 1 assist, and I'm not gonna lie, if Sjostrom wasn't considered a bust before that, that had to solidify it. 11th overall selection, what is that, his 6th NHL season, and he's only scoring 13 points. If Sjostrom would have been drafted like the 4th or 5th round, something like that, I don't think anyone would have cared. I also kind of think he wouldn't have got as many NHL chances, because on July 1st, 2009, he would sign a 2-year, $1.5 million contract, same contract he signed in Arizona, with the Calgary Flames. And in 46 games of the 2009-2010 season, Sjostrom would score 1 goal and 5 assists for 6 points. Calgary Calgary had seen enough, and on January 31st, 2010, Sjostrom would be traded alongside Dion Phaneuf and another player to Toronto. Spoiler alert, Sjostrom would finish his career in Toronto. Well, his NHL career anyway. To finish the 09-10 season, he would play in 19 games for the Maple Leafs, scoring 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points. And in the 2010-2011 season, in 66 games played, that's right, he had the same 2 goals and 3 assists for 5 points. It was clear to anyone at this point that Sjostrom just didn't have any of that offensive value at the NHL level. I never remembered him being particularly great defensively, but he did spend the majority of his career in the bottom 6, so he had to at the very least have been okay. But then again, the primary reason he probably got so many chances was because he was an 11th overall draft selection. Look, I'm getting ahead of myself. Anyway, Sjostrom would go ahead and go back to Sweden to finish out his career, and on August 29th, 2013, he would officially announce his retirement from the NHL. Fredrik Sjostrom finished with 489 games played in the NHL, scoring 46 goals, recording 58 assists, and 104 total points. So at the very least, he did hit 100 points, but he hit below 500 games and below 50 goals. Such a disappointment. Look, I really liked Sjostrom growing up. Him and Oleg Saprykin, especially in that 06-07 season, were 2 of my favorite players. It went like Donor, JR because nostalgia, Cujo because the name was cool, and then like McCulloch, Saprykin, Sjostrom, all right around there. And the fact was, he just never developed, never hit that stride. Maybe he was never that good to begin with. I have no idea. All I do know is that every single time I think about Fredrik Sjostrom, I just kind of get sad because not only did I just like Sjostrom as a player and I wanted him to succeed, but he also represents the Coyotes in the 2 highest selections they ever had in the 1996 draft with Falk and the 2001 draft with Sjostrom. Completely just blew the pick and threw it away. And the Coyotes draft history is filled with enough draft busts to last me a lifetime. I really did not mean for that to get negative. Freddie, I know you're never going to watch this, but I wish you nothing but the best in your post-NHL career. Hope everything's been going good over the last 9 or so years. Really wish things would have worked out in Phoenix, but you know what? It is what it is. That was the career of Fredrik Sjostrom. And also, technically, another Coyotes draft bust.